Now that you are acquainted with the sample case study, let's focus on how to proceed through the document, to understand it, to analyze it and work through it as if you were in class or in your team experience project. As mentioned in the beginning of this course, the goal is to offer a quick start guide or some key skills so that MIM projects you are assigned during the course of this program are less intimidating and run more smoothly. There are 3 dimensions to understanding the influences on successful projects, case studies, and teams. The first dimension is the definition of what compromises a project, or the project elements. The second dimension is the organizational structures needed to coordinate a project. And the third dimension is the resource management elements of a project. All 3 must be present to make a project happen. Most case studies will leave out a dimension, and your task will be to devise and present a viable solution. A project consists of a specific series of tasks that, when completed, reach a specific goal or set of goals within a given time period. There are 5 primary elements to a project: concept, or creation of an idea; definition, which is the development of a plan; start, which is acting on the plan; and performance is the plan being monitored and results being reviewed. Closure, the plan is completed and the project is finished. Most case studies deliver these specifics as a part of their instruction. We will discuss how to decode these segments in later sections. Basically, projects use common sense. We've all done projects, both personal and work-oriented. Many examples listed here may seem like stating the obvious, but until faced with a team project where your team has diverse experiences and backgrounds, where you do not have a foundation of understanding like you do with family members or friends, many will suddenly feel that common sense is not so common, as the saying goes. But not to worry, organizational structures will provide help with the diverse approach to common sense in your team. Once a project is identified, a case study delivered to the class, the important preliminary tasks will be defining the scope. Scope is the start and end. Developing your game plan, and meshing the scope and the plan leads to subtasks. Then ordering and assigning the tasks to members of the team. Really, it's not that complex. The deliverables are the results owned at the end of the project, and the project framework tasks discussed: defining the scope, developing the plan, defining the subtasks, and then ordering and assigning those subtasks are the structure for organizing your project. Having a plan, defining the scope, and organizing the tasks is important and essential to a project's success. But without effective management of resources, the project won't be successful. Resources include the people working on the project, the time required to complete the project, and the money necessary to complete the project. Basically, people, time, and money. Many project management publications show these 3 as a triangle whose sides apply pressure on one another in order to attempt to remain in balance. For example, if you need more people to complete a project, more money may be required. If you need to shorten the time it takes to complete the project, more money or people may be required. Rarely does balance remain, but knowing which items are under the most pressure or in the most jeopardy will help with decision-making and communications between teammates, your sponsors, your professor, or your funding sources. Here are some quick examples of life experiences applied to the 3 dimensions that influence projects. Buying a house involves the very large task of determining whether the location is acceptable, down to the subtasks of whether the bathroom or the kitchen is sufficiently updated for the asking price of a specific house. Next, you decide or create the idea that you'd like to have your own home. After that, you need to define what that means. Condo, townhouse, single-family home, a renovation special, or move-in ready without a thing to do. What part of town, city, state do you want to live in? Next, you start by looking at properties in person or online. You find a realtor and you look at actual properties. When you start looking at properties, you measure against the parameters you develop to see what fits. You evaluate the usefulness and quality of your realtor and their skills at deciphering what you want and need. You start to make decisions. Once you find the home that fits your defined parameters, you make an offer. If your offer is accepted, you go to settlement and the house is yours. Project complete. Unless, of course, you chose a home that needs renovation. Those project skills you just honed in buying a house will come in handy again and again and again. Organizing a room to start a home-based business requires a calculated approach and established workflow process. First, a schedule or a plan that plots the time from deciding to start the business to having an effective space serves to define the project. Scoping out requirements serves to outline the tasks that will need to be accomplished to get your desired project results or deliverables. The scope is influenced by many basic decisions, such as determining if your clients will be visiting your space, which will then influence the style and quality of the materials you use. The number of storage units or connections for the office technology is going to determine deliverables also. Are you going to do faxing? How many phones will you need? Will you need internet connectivity? Who is going to do which task? When and in what order? A task is a task, but it takes a person to do. A cable guy will hook up the modems. A business partner may pick out the furniture. You'll pick out the computers. Who needs to do what and get it done by when, and what is the logical order? In other words, a meshing of the plan and the scope. Carpet before furniture, paint before carpet, computers purchased and set up before the cable guy. Getting enrolled in a graduate program requires a myriad of people to enact the admissions and enrollment process. From employees at former institutions managing transcript requests to letters of recommendations from former professors and employers, people have to perform actions in specific time frames. As a student, funding has to be found and secured. If any item or article comes up short, your admission and enrollment will be in jeopardy. No transcripts could mean no admission. Applications arriving after the deadline could mean no record started for that academic term. No financial support could mean insufficient funds to attend. Finally, when looking at the resource management triangle of people, time, and money for our classroom distributed case studies, the financial implications do not directly impact the team, though finances may be a key element in the case study solution that your team develops. Time and people resources are of primary concern. Individual MIM team members' time constraints will vary greatly with each team member based on their outside-of-class commitments. The level of commitment, or each MIM team member's accountability, will impact the workload of all team members. It's helpful to iron out time issues and level of commitment at the beginning of each project.